I'm Andrea. I ran into my ex-husband, Ryan, at a coffee shop last month. He was with a new woman, full of energy and chatter, the kind who effortlessly commands attention. He looked happy, and so was I. We exchanged polite greetings, and there was no trace of bitterness, just pure acceptance. That dinner party now seems like it happened to a different person, but I'm truly grateful for it. It was the catalyst that led me to embrace my true self. Let me take you back. It all started at one of Ryan's many dinner parties. Ryan is a social butterfly. He adores hosting gatherings, meticulously curating guest lists, and organizing group outings. He thrives in the midst of conversations and laughter, always the life of the party. I, on the other hand, am more reserved. I prefer to listen before speaking and choose my words carefully. I've always thought these differences complemented us, but I was terribly wrong. We met through mutual friends and dated for a couple of years. Our wedding was a beautiful, warm affair, and we settled into what seemed like a stable life together. We had been married for 8 years, sharing daily routines, calendars, and furniture that had lost its novelty but still held a sense of familiarity. 3 weeks ago, after one of his dinner parties, the situation took a turn. There were 6 guests, 2 couples from his work circle and his best friend, Lily, along with her husband, Tom. As usual, we had wine, shared dishes, and a flurry of conversations about work stress, kids, home renovations, and the false sense of control we all like to think we have over our lives. At some point, the topic shifted to politics. I'm not overly political, but Tom made a statement about a recent policy change that I knew was factually incorrect. I corrected him politely and briefly, without causing any drama. He nodded, and I thought we had moved on. After everyone left, while I was loading the dishwasher, Ryan turned to me with that familiar, tense expression, the look of someone who had been holding something back. "Did you really have to do that tonight?" he asked. "Do what?" I replied, rinsing a plate. "Correct him like that." He said something inaccurate, and I just clarified it. "I wasn't rude," I explained. "That's not the point, Andrea. You always do this. You always have to be right and show how much you know." "It makes me look bad," he said. His words hit me like a cold gust of wind. "How does that make you look bad?" I asked. "Because you're my wife. When you make my friends feel stupid, it reflects on me," he snapped. My chest tightened. "So, you want me to just let people say incorrect things?" I questioned. "Yes," he replied impatiently. "Smile, nod, and read the room. These are social gatherings, not debates. Nobody cares if someone gets a detail wrong." I turned to face him fully. I wasn't trying to start a debate. "Then just stay quiet next time," he said, exhaling. "Please, you make me look bad in front of my friends." I stared at him for a long moment and then said, "All right." Relief washed over his face. "Thank you," he said. "I just want things to be pleasant." That night, as I lay beside him while he slept, I started to replay other moments from the past. There were comments about me being too serious at his work events, about how I killed the mood by not laughing at a cruel joke, and about how I needed to relax. I had always thought I was just being myself, but apparently, that version of me was embarrassing to him. 2 weeks later, Ryan announced that he was hosting another dinner party. The same group, plus some new guests. "You'll be there, right?" he asked. "Of course," I said. "I'll stay quiet," I added. He smiled. "Perfect." Little did I know that silence would speak volumes. The night of the dinner party arrived, and there was an artificial calm in the air. I helped Ryan prepare as I always did, chopping vegetables, arranging plates, and wiping down already clean counters. I played my role to perfection, an attentive wife, offering pleasantries, and not causing any waves. He seemed satisfied, almost relieved. The guests arrived just after 7 o'clock, filling the hallway with smiles, coats, and laughter. I greeted everyone warmly, accepted compliments on the food, and poured wine. Then I did exactly what I'd promised. I went quiet, not withdrawn or sulking, just simply absent from the conversation. When Tom asked how work was going, I replied, "Good," and took a sip of wine. When one of the new guests mentioned a popular documentary, I said I hadn't seen it. That was all. Ryan kept stealing glances at me, trying to decipher my silence. Was I complying? Was I punishing him? I kept my expression neutral, even gentle. Dinner was served, and the conversation flowed around me like a current I was no longer part of. Politics came up again, and it was the same policy, the same incorrect explanation, almost word for word from the last time. I just kept eating my chicken. Lily, sitting across from me, had always been perceptive. Halfway through the meal, during a lull, she tilted her head and said gently, "Andrea, you've been really quiet tonight. Everything okay?" Before I could answer, Ryan jumped in. "She's just tired." "Long week at work," he said quickly. I looked at him and then back at Lily. "Actually," I said calmly, "I was asked to stay quiet at these gatherings." The table fell completely silent. Lily blinked. "You were what?" Ryan's face turned pale. "After the last dinner party," I continued, keeping my voice steady and conversational. "Ryan told me I embarrass him in front of his friends, that I make people feel stupid, so he asked me to stay quiet. I'm just doing what he asked." No one spoke. Ryan opened his mouth, closed it, and then opened it again. "That's not Andrea. That's not what I meant," he stammered. "You said, you make me look bad in front of my friends. Just stay quiet next time." "I remember it clearly," I replied. Lily's eyes slowly shifted from me to Ryan. "You told her not to talk?" she asked. "She embarrassed Tom last time by correcting him," Ryan said, his voice shaking. "I stated a fact," I said quietly and politely. Tom shifted uncomfortably in his seat. "I didn't mind," he muttered. "I was wrong." Lily leaned back and studied Ryan. "So, nobody cared except you." "That's not fair," Ryan snapped. "Andrea can be condescending." I turned to Tom. "But was I condescending?" He shook his head. "No, not at all." The silence grew heavier. One of the new guests stared intently at her phone, and another couple avoided eye contact. Lily put down her fork. "Ryan, I've known you for over a decade. Andrea has never embarrassed you. She's thoughtful and a good listener." "That's rare." Ryan stood up abruptly. "This is exactly what I meant. You're making a scene." "I've been silent all night." "I'm just telling the truth," I replied. He stormed out to the patio. The party ended quickly after that. People made excuses and left in pairs, in silence. As Lily hugged me goodbye, she whispered, "I didn't mean to blow things up." "You asked an honest question, and I answered honestly," I said. After everyone left, I found Ryan outside, crying. "I can't believe you did that," he said. "What did I do?" "I told the truth," I replied. He wiped his eyes. "I just wanted you to be more aware of social dynamics." "When have I hurt anyone?" I asked. He couldn't answer. That's when I realized it wasn't about manners, it was about control. The house felt different after that night, not louder or colder, just exposed. Ryan slept in the guest room, and we only spoke about practical matters like groceries, schedules, and reminders, like office memos. There were no apologies, no follow-up conversations, just a wall of avoidance and hurt. 3 days later, Lily called me. "I've been thinking about what happened," she said carefully. "And I need to tell you something." My stomach tightened. "Okay." "Ryan's been complaining about you for a while, maybe 6 months," she said. The words hit me harder than anything that had happened at the dinner table. "Complaining how?" I asked. Little comments, like you're too serious, no fun, and always correcting people. I never thought much of it because it didn't match the person I know, she explained. I sank onto the couch. He's been talking about me behind my back. I think he's been building a version of you in his head, one where you're the problem he has to manage, she continued gently. After we hung up, I sat in silence, replaying conversations from the past year. The subtle criticisms, the way he'd started finishing my sentences in public, and redirecting conversations away from me. That night, I confronted him. Have you been telling your friends I'm embarrassing? His eyes darted away. Who told you that? So, it's true, I said. He sighed. I've mentioned some frustrations. Everyone vents. What frustrations? I asked. He was silent. Ryan, you made me believe I was the problem, that there was something wrong with who I am, I said, my voice shaking. He rubbed his face. I just see other couples. They laugh more, they're lighter. And then there's us. Ordinary, I said. That's the word you're looking for. He didn't deny it. That was the moment it all clicked. He wasn't embarrassed by my behavior, he was embarrassed by my existence. The following week, we started marriage counseling at his suggestion. I agreed because I needed clarity. The therapist listened quietly and then said, Ryan, it sounds like you want Andrea to be someone else. And Andrea, it sounds like you've been shrinking to keep the peace. In the fourth session, she asked him one question. Do you want to be married to Andrea or the idea of who you wish she were? He didn't answer, and that silence said it all. We separated in June. There were no screaming matches or slammed doors, just a quiet understanding that love shouldn't require one person to disappear. Ryan moved out first, with a suitcase and a few boxes, trying to be polite and not the villain in his own story. We divided our things cleanly, with no fights over furniture or money. 8 years of marriage reduced to a checklist. The divorce was finalized 3 months later. He sent me a handwritten, apologetic letter. He said therapy had helped him understand how much he'd valued appearances over authenticity and how he'd tried to reshape me instead of accepting me. I believed he meant it, but it couldn't change what had happened. Now, I'm doing better than I ever expected. I joined a book club, something I'd always wanted to do but never made a priority. Ironically, I've discovered that I love discussing ideas with people who genuinely want to listen. I've reconnected with old friends. I speak when I have something to say and stay quiet when I don't, and I no longer apologize for either. That dinner party was a turning point, and I'm grateful for the new life it has brought me.